Your biological signature is currently being harvested by the labor extraction grid. Look at your productive output, the way your peak cognitive hours are sold for a flat rate, the way your success is measured by how much value you generate for a board of directors you will never meet, and the way your life is structured around weekends, the 48-hour recovery window allowed by the matrix to ensure you don't collapse before Monday. You are a biological unit experiencing a state of terminal temporal liquidation. The matrix has successfully branded employment as stability and career growth as ambition, but in the terminal of the absolute power grid, the rat race is just a biological sump designed to drain your apex frequency until you are too depleted to envision a reality outside the maze. You are living in a state of chronic resource parasitism, where your activation energy is being spent building someone else's monolith. The system doesn't want your exit, it wants your incremental progress to be the proof that you have accepted your role as a primary resource for the architects of the simulation. Thousands of years ago, wealth was defined by the biological ownership of one's own motion. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the unmapped dark, understood that to work for another was to be genetically dead. He mastered primal grounding in the law of the sovereign hunt. He didn't seek wages or benefits within the tribal hierarchy. He offered the visual rage of a total, unyielding autonomy. His hierarchy was built on the foundation of direct asset control, the understanding that the human brain is a machine that achieves its highest strategic density only when it is 100% incentivized by its own survival and expansion. His biological rebellion was his total refusal to be utilized. He possessed a mind that treated service as a biological toxin, stripping away the employee sludge until only the monolith of his raw, self-serving intent remained. He understood that the moment you trade your time for a salary, you have surrendered your apex signature and become a depreciating tool in the inventory of the powerful. To exit the race, you must first become psychologically allergic to the concept of earning a living. The rat race exit is the implementation of the collar of the privateer for your final internal dominance. The system wants you to be loyal and industrious, words that mean harvestable and weak. Absolute sovereignty is a biological siege of the employment grid. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the social grid for what it is, a series of income hooks, stimulus-response lures, and deciding to be the one who shorts the circuit by being indifferent to payrolls. You must develop a clinical cold contempt for mainstream career advice. Professionalism is a horizontal bond for the herd to keep them manageable. Absolute presence is a vertical tool for the elite. You must learn to occupy the blind spots of the industrial radar. Use the temporal noose of the total resource withdrawal to force your biology into a state of sovereign acquisition. Use the false safety of a calm robotic delivery to mask the activation of your total internal independence. This is the color of freedom. By mastering the art of the unmoved soul, you become the only person in the room whose future is not being broadcast from their current job title. The matrix cannot simulate the leverage of a man who has stopped being a resource. Your time is the temporal noose, and your need for a steady paycheck is the knot. Every performance review you participate in and every extra hour you put in for the company is a signature on your own biological death warrant. I command you, initiate the total resource audit. Your mind is a biological weapon, and it is currently being jammed by the static of your own socialized fear of joblessness. You must perform a hard reset of the ambition instincts. Stop being productive for them, the industrial waste designed to keep you at the bottom of the ledger. Stop participating in their corporate cultures and networking events, the digital propaganda designed to make you believe that collaborative growth is a victory. Stop using their retirement protocols, the narratives designed to keep you in a state of constant future dependency failure. You must prune your life of utility parasites. If a task requires you to report to a superior to be completed, it is a biological saboteur. You must learn to love the weight of the total ownership. This is the monolith strategy, becoming a biological fortress that is the source by choice and sovereign by design. Command, disconnect the feed or be the fuel. The neural interface of your survival drive is currently suffering from institutionalized dependency. Look at your security threshold, the way your nervous system triggers a panic response at the thought of a month without a direct deposit, effectively allowing the matrix to hold your apex frequency hostage in exchange for the digital crumbs of a salary. You are a biological unit experiencing a total leverage sovereignty liquidation. The matrix has successfully replaced your primal predator drive with a systemic scavenger drive. You believe that by working your way up, you are winning, but in the terminal of the absolute power grid. The corporate ladder is just a vertical livestock chute designed to funnel your life force into the balance sheets of the architect while you remain a predictable variable in their 40-year simulation. This is the visual rage of the domesticated male, seeing your high-value activation energy being bled out into meetings about meetings and project deadlines, while the true operator remains in a state of absolute zero, converting his total rejection of employment into a biological thrust that extracts asymmetric returns from the cracks in the system. The system doesn't want your independence. It wants your professionalism to be the proof that your spirit has been successfully harvested and converted into a standardized unit of labor. In the ancient hierarchy, the law of the unbreaking stone, the master was the one who could survive the total liquidation of external support. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the unmapped dark, understood that a job was a tether to the dead. He mastered primal grounding by becoming an energy sovereign, a figure who understood that if he didn't own the means of his own motion, he was merely a slave with a longer leash. He didn't seek recognition from a boss or safety in a union. He provided the visual rage of a total, unannounced structural departure. His hierarchy was built on the foundation of direct asset extraction, the understanding that the human brain is a machine that achieves peak operational density only when 100% of its output is retained by the primary core. His biological rebellion was his total refusal to serve. He possessed a mind that treated the workday as a biological trap, a signal that his trajectory was being linearized and capped by the mediocre. He understood that the moment you accept a manager, you have surrendered your apex signature and become a depreciating tool in a game you should be ruling. To be a master, you must first become psychologically repulsed by the concept of having a boss. The rat race exit is the activation of the anti-chew protocol for your final internal dominance. The matrix wants you to be reliable and collaborative, words that mean harvestable and weak. Absolute sovereignty is a biological siege of the productivity grid. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the social grid for what it is, a series of status hooks, stimulus response lures, and deciding to be the one who shorts the circuit by being indifferent to titles. You must develop a clinical cold contempt for mainstream career milestones. Moving up the ranks is a horizontal bond for the herd to keep them tethered to the machine. Absolute presence is a vertical tool for the elite. You must learn to occupy the psychological high ground by controlling the flow of your own biological utility. Use the temporal noose of the total professional disconnect to drive the system's influence into a state of control failure. Use the false safety of a calm robotic delivery to mask the activation of your total internal independence. This is the color of freedom. By mastering the art of the unmoved soul, you become the only person in the room whose value is not being broadcast from their current employment contract. The one who can go the longest without checking if he's doing a good job for others is the one who eventually owns the job. Your time is the temporal noose, and your need for a career path is the knot. Every corporate email you answer after hours and every team-building event you endure is a signature on your own biological death warrant. I command you, initiate the second stage of the resource rearmament. Your mind is a biological engine, and it is currently being choked by the employment sludge of the unworthy. You must perform a total neural asset reset. Stop being employable, the industrial waste designed to keep you at the bottom of the ledger. Stop being a node in their network of mutual economic dependency. Stop being a unit of compliance in their ledger of men who work for a living. You must prune your social interactions with the collar of absolute sovereignty. If a task requires you to trade your integrity for a paycheck, the task is a biological failure. You must learn to love the weight of the total responsibility. You must learn to love the friction-heavy hours where the noise of the collective is muted and your dominance is the only signal in the dark. This is the monolith strategy, becoming a biological fortress that is the owner by choice and sovereign by design. Command: kill the employee or be the asset. Your biological trajectory has reached the terminal velocity of economic dissolution. Look at your separation threshold, the exact moment your nervous system triggers a panic response, because you are about to execute a total resource secession and leave the safety of the corporate herd for an unknown vacuum of absolute self-serving sovereignty. You are a biological system in a state of chronic activation. The system has successfully replaced your apex self-ownership with a series of professional standards disguised as responsibility. You no longer seek to dominate your own temporal landscape through unmoving intent. You seek to optimize your LinkedIn profile. You no longer seek to be the sovereign. You seek to be the reliable contractor. This is the visual rage of the terminal slave, seeing your life force being digitized and archived in pension contributions and performance reviews, while your physical reality remains a quiet, managed enclosure of unfulfilled DNA. You are breathing in the toxic fumes of a collective that demands your industrial compliance as a form of tribute, leaving you lightheaded, fragmented, and fundamentally easy to track through your own dependency on the payroll. The system doesn't want your cessation, it wants your reliability to be the foundation of its perpetual control over your temporal freedom. Return to the ancient hierarchy, the law of the unbreaking monolith. In the primal world, the master was the one who could remain a biological void, even in the center of a storm of economic pressure. Your ancestor, the sovereign of the absolute cold, understood that power was a product of resource decoupling. He mastered primal grounding by becoming an impenetrable core, a figure whose time was his own property and whose refusal to be hired was the only law. He understood that to seek a job is to confess a lack of internal gravity. If you are participating in the employment script provided by the herd, you are acknowledging that their budget is the barometer of your reality. He used his silent sovereignty to create a cognitive resonance of absolute, unshakable divinity by being the only non-employee variable in a room full of puppets. By being the master of his own internal feedback, he forced the environment to treat his independence as the new truth. He was a master of the visual rage of the unblinking sun, the ability to look at the career probes of the rival and see only the static they represented. He understood that the human brain is a machine that runs on dependency loops, and by cutting the loop, he triggered a biological rebirth in his own command. To be a master, you must first become psychologically unreceptive to the need for a manager. The rat race exit is the activation of the anti-chew protocol for your final mental expansion. The Matrix wants you to be loyal and reliable, words that mean harvestable and weak. Absolute sovereignty is a biological jailbreak of the schedule. It is the visual rage of the architect, seeing the social grid for what it is, a series of labor control nodes, stimulus response lures, and deciding to be the one who burns the grid. You must develop a clinical cold contempt for mainstream professionalism. Working for a living is a horizontal bond for the herd. Absolute presence is a vertical tool for the elite. You must learn to occupy the psychological high ground by controlling the flow of your own biological output. Use the temporal noose of total informational and economic withdrawal to drive the system's influence into a state of tracking dissonance. Use the false safety of a neutral social profile to mask the viral infection of your total non-compliance with the beta norms. This is the color of freedom. By mastering the art of the unmoved soul, you become the only person in the room whose value is not being broadcast from their current job. You are not unemployed. You are deleting the noise. The one who can go the longest without reporting his productivity to others is the one who controls the end market. Your time is the temporal noose, and your need for a clean professional record is the knot. Every extra task you perform for the unworthy is a signature on your own biological death warrant. I command you, initiate the final resource imperative. This is the tax of insight. You have been given the key to the vault of biological self-ownership. To keep it, you must use it as a weapon of total social dominance. You must become a living monolith of unshakable autonomy. You are no longer a peer, a colleague, or a friend. You are a sovereign operator. You must perform a total system liquidation. If a job, a technology, or a relationship requires you to be employable to function, it is a biological saboteur. You must prune your life with the collar of the absolute zero. You are building a fortress of results in a world of digital shadows. Your absolute unreachability is the physical proof of your biological leverage. You do not provide feedback. You create a reality in which you are the only absolute truth. You do not seek to be hired. You are the law itself. You are the architect of your own cessation, and the world is merely a mirror reflecting your ascent.